I think what inspired me to start roof-topping was probably a ton of videos that I would see on YouTube, such as creators like James Kingston, Nightscape, people like that, and Storer as well. They kind of put their art of free running into roof-topping. But I think the whole freedom of being somewhere high and urban and having a different perspective and outlook on the city is one that I wanted to explore for myself.
I got into roof-topping because I was on a car park doing graffiti in Birmingham, and I took a picture on top of the car park and there was a nice view, and from that car park I saw all the rooftops and cranes and just decided to take it from there and realised that there was a community of people that did it and I could meet some cool people.
I got into roof-topping because one of my friends is a climber and I took him to an abandoned building by my house, and then he took me onto the roof and I really loved it. And so I started looking up YouTube videos like Nightscape and stuff, and I decided that when I would come to Birmingham for university, I was going to do roof-topping properly, and that's how I really got into it.
So I got into roof-topping many years ago. I'd say I was probably around the age of 14, and we used to climb onto some rooftop in Birmingham city centre, just near Meplin's, and we used to just relax up there for quite a lot of the day, usually on Saturday. Took a massive break from roof-topping for a long time, and then I went out to a few abandoned buildings such as Wolverhampton Eye Infirmary, Power Gen in Shirley with my friend Axel, and from there I was introduced to Phil, and from there I made friends with a load of other people who also enjoyed roof-topping.
Well, I was always watching Nightscape and just YouTubers, and they just got me into it, and then I messaged Phil about doing a shoot because I originated as a photographer, and he just took me onto some roofs and I found a passion for it, and then Phil introduced me to Axel and all the other guys, and now we just do that once a week, weekends, whenever we get the chance, really.
I was falling asleep in the cabin of this crane, and my friend wanted to climb up to the top of the arm of the crane, and I was literally falling asleep. And I started, and I thought I was gonna die. I thought my arms and legs were gonna give out. I could feel the fucking acid building up in my muscles, and I literally was so close to just letting go. I was listening to a song on repeat, a liquid drum and bass song, and that kept me focused, kept me going, stopped me from dying. Aside from that, I've been chased by security a few times, which is always pretty crazy.
I'll get straight back down and leave. Cool. Yo, hide somewhere, hide somewhere. Yo, car. That was hilarious. Mate, that footage is going to be so sick.
Were you speaking to someone while?
Yeah. Yeah, what did you say? He was just like, what are you doing? I was like...
One of my craziest experiences, it has to be the thing that only pops into my mind. The first thing that pops into my mind is the first crane climb I ever accomplished, because the feeling was unlike any other. I think crane climbs in general are probably the craziest thing you can do, but I remember completing my first arm, and it was with my friend Phil, and by arm I mean like you've got the base, the stem of the crane, and then you have the arm. You have horizontal cranes, or you have vertical ones like when they sit up. So it was completing my first vertical one. I remember getting to the top, and like I swear there was no feeling, there was no sense of reward like what I experienced, like not what I get from anything else I've ever done. The feeling was indescribable, and that was definitely the craziest experience I've had to date as far as I can think.
Look how far you can see.
It's ridiculous. I don't think I'm gonna have enough battery for the climb down. I will attempt, but I'm gonna outro it here because there's no better place to outro it anyway. I'm actually emotional, guys. I legit feel emotional. I'm speechless.
Absolutely.
Climbed the damn arm. Seriously, man.
One of the most craziest experiences was probably when me and my boyfriend and some friends went up Five Ways Tower, and we got to the top of the tower as the sun was setting, and we took loads and loads of photographs, and it was really great. And then 2 police cars turned up, and they had dogs, and they had flashlights, and they were going inside the building, and we were scared of the dogs, so we didn't want to like rush out and leave. So instead we stayed up there for I think 3.5 hours until nearly 12 o'clock, and then we had to like rush out the building and sneak out. And honestly, I was so scared, and it was just so long, and you could hear the dogs barking, but that was probably the craziest.
Craziest experience. Okay, so there's this rooftop like where I live, and then we went up to it, and then we had bikes as well, and yeah, I was just leaving the rooftop like just to come back down, and security came, and then he just started swearing at me and just trying to hit me and stuff. Like it was just mad. Like he wouldn't believe it happened. Like it's crazy.
It was actually at the bottom of a building by BT Tower, and there was a door, and it had like a little lock on it, but it was like a little metal half a circle, and you can pop it off. So we popped it off, went ting 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 on the floor, and all behind us was, "Oi lads!" And I stopped and went, "Ah, ah, ah!" And he was like, "What are you doing?" And we were just like, "Oh, just having a look." And we tried to walk off. And he's like, "Oh, you're not going anywhere." And I'm like, all right. And because I tried to run off past him, and like he stopped us. And we're walking with him. And he's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "I don't have to give you my name." He's like, "Oh, is there something wrong with you? Something wrong in your head?" And then something happened. And then he went, "Right, that's it. I'm detaining you." Grabbed my arm, and we had like a little scuffle to get off. We had to peg it off, and he had his phone out filming or something. It was crazy, man.
I think one of my craziest experiences was when it had to be my first crane climb. It's when me and Phil, we tried 2 cranes in one night, because we did one, it was a white crane, and we got all the way up to the top, and the hatch was locked at the top, and we were just so annoyed with it. And then we went to a different crane, and luckily that was unlocked. But all I can remember was we were going up the ladders, and Phil was just keep telling me, "This is not a small crane, this is a big crane." And it was one of the biggest cranes in Birmingham at the time. So it was just a big accomplishment, which was crazy.
So one of the reasons why I go rooftoping is because it's more social, more so than anything. A lot of my friends who I've made some really great friends through rooftoping, and it's just about being with them, really. Other reasons include I really do like to push boundaries as far as I can go, and it's quite fun just seeing if you can sneak past security. And then when you get to the top, most of the time, there's been a few occasions, but most of the time you get a really good view to look at. And those are some of the reasons why I enjoy rooftoping.
Away. Yeah, you know, grab it onto my shirt. If it ain't wide, it ain't right. My granddad would have knew on that set.
Send it.
Sent it. I didn't send it far back.
I climbed the crane when it was snowing. In the UK, it's called the Beast of the East. And my hands were so cold, I had to go to the cabin to warm hands up. But I set up for the alarm, I had to fucking climb down and get out. But the alarm was so loud, I could hear it from Broad Street. From Birmingham, good now. I heard it from Broad Street to like Grand Central, and it was so fucking loud. All across Birmingham, could hear it. But I didn't get caught, so that was alright.
Do you Sunshine Lewis, yeah? And the geezer tried saying, "You've got to take the cameras out here, like, what are you on about?" And then about 5 minutes later, police came up and that, I was coming off the roof. And police came up like, "Have you been on the roof?" We were not going about. And like, me and Jack was like scared off.
We just want to take a couple of photos. That's all, just down there, for the landscapes. Oh, well, photography geezers.
Basically, edit camera, I don't see what's the problem. Like, I've seen people record videos up here and all sorts, so I don't see how us being up here is disrupting anyone. But if I can come up in the lift, surely anyone else can come up in the lift. Yeah, basically, what's he going to do, Carl? He's going to kick us off, isn't he?
Centre control.
Oh yeah, okay.
You alright?
Yeah, you seem more friendly.
Yeah. Sorry, you're not allowed to be here, please. How? Yeah, can you,
Huh?
Real explanation more, yeah. Because if think about it, right, if we were below these floors, would we be trespassing?
No. Listen,
it's the same car park as it is downstairs as it up here, really.
But it's, you see, that's why the barricade here is allowed to be here. That's it. No cars, nothing is allowed. That's why you see these barriers there. So that's just it. Something happened and
all we do is take pictures.
It's not allowed. That's what I'm telling you. It's not allowed to come here. You guys have to leave.
If one of my friends fell, it would be a heartbreaking experience. And I've always said to myself, when other people as well have asked me in interviews, what happens if you fall yourself? I always say that I don't do anything that I don't think I'm capable of doing, such as, like, a lot of people say, well, you don't know if like this structure, for example, is going to be safe or not. Well, I say, like, test it first. For example, if I climb a crane, I mean, cranes are solid steel, so I'll put my trust in the metal bars that I climb. But say if it's an abandoned building, I'm not sure how long this material's been there for, then I'll test it first, pull on it, make sure things can support my weight. So regarding friends falling, I trust people who I climb with, that they trust themselves, if that makes sense. So I put my trust in them, that they have their trust in themselves. So if anything ever did go wrong, then it would just be, hopefully, like, you know, nothing that anyone could have ever foreseen, and it would be tragic. It would be absolutely tragic, and it would probably make me think twice when wanting to climb and do rooftoping again. But at the end of the day as well, without going too deep, life is to be explored, and you're meant to take risks. Otherwise, you know, what's the point? You don't want to be on your deathbed and asking yourselves 1,000 questions like, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that? So it's better to try and to fail than to not try at all, in my eyes.
I do it because I really love the photography, the photographic opportunities, and I love the community and the people you meet when you climb buildings.
I do it for the thrill and for the photos, because the thrill of getting caught or maybe falling, but no one's ever going to fall.
My favourite thing about rooftoping is the sense of freedom. I think, especially in an urban and highly populated environment like where we are now in Birmingham, because it's so busy down on the streets below, even me just sitting here now, there's no one else around me, and it's therapeutic in a way. I use that term a lot, I've used it in other interviews, but I always find climbing therapeutic. And again, being high, being able to look down on everything, it gives you a totally different perspective. And I've noticed the more you climb, the more you start looking up when you're down below. Like, everyone's so glued to their phones, for example, or they're constantly looking down, they don't take in what's around them. So I think rooftoping is a good way to alter your perspective and to start broadening your mind. So it's the whole emotional value and freedom that is attached to rooftoping that I think is the greatest thing about it.
So one of the things you usually get asked is, what would you do if someone fell? Ideally, I really hope nobody does fall, because none of us would do anything that is actually outside of our comfort zones that we think is completely stupid. At least I hope we would anyway. But if someone was to fall, I'd probably be in absolute shock, to be honest. But but of course I'd follow the relevant procedures and call 999, and I guess it's would probably make me reconsider what it is that I actually do.
Well, I've already gone through consequences when climbing Humber Bridge. If you guys want to see that, me and Jay Swingler from TGF, we climbed that together, and I thought I was all good. Like, basically we climbed up the bridge, we got about 3/4 of the way, there were cameras at the top, they turned around, and I said to Jay, I was like, oh dude, shit, like these cameras have turned and faced us, and we were thinking maybe we need to get down. We got down, the police caught us, and they just took our details. Like, we were all clear to go as far as we were concerned from then. But then we noticed it made the news, like especially in Hull. Like, it was on the Daily Mail, it was even on BBC News, it was everywhere. And I remember feeling this fear of, oh damn, like what if they're actually going to pursue this, because they were like, we might be taken to court. But then it went months and months without anything happening, but I finally got a letter through, and I remember my heart sinking a bit, and I skipped a beat. I was like, damn, I'm actually going to have to go to court for this. Luckily, in the end, I didn't go to court. I managed to get a lawyer. Well, I managed to get a lawyer to sort it out. I didn't get prison time. I just had to pay a fine, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but that was like a serious consequence I had to deal with. In terms of future consequences and knowing what I might have to do, like, well, have to put up with the risks that I take, it doesn't necessarily put me off, because again, I think it's that balance of reward to consequence. There are more benefits for me than there are consequences and negatives, so they don't dramatically put me off from wanting to do it more.